Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network and Activist Post, the antimedia.org, and the Mind Unleashed. Today is Monday, May 15th, 2017, and I'm going to try to bring you something brand new in my ever-expanding, ever-evolving content factory. What I'm going to do now is start trying to bring you daily updates about important news that you need to know, focusing on one key story and mentioning maybe one or two others that are relevant or something interesting that hopefully will get some conversations started amongst you on the internet and move us towards a place of communication and conversation and growth rather than division and shutting down and not hearing each other's viewpoints. Some of you may know I'm kind of inconsistent with my content. I do articles weekly on Anti-Media and Activist Post. But I also enjoy my beautiful, wonderful life and the freedom that I've obtained and pursuing that freedom and understanding that. So sometimes it's difficult for me to be consistent. But I'm going to work on that to bring you information because my goal is to spread awareness and solutions and to spread an understanding of what institutions of power are doing so that we can move towards a more free place. And in order to do that, we need to be aware of what they're doing and then move past that to create something that actually reflects the health and the wealth of the people and this planet. So yeah, you can look for new content from me every day now on the Conscious Resistance Network on Facebook or at youtube.com/consciousresistance. And of course, every Friday evening about 6 p.m. I broadcast a live show. So these are going to be pre-recorded Monday through Friday, 5 minutes to 7 minutes, and then the live show is about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So let's get into it. That's right, the infamous white nationalist Richard Spencer is back in the headline news, and I've done a video in the past talking about Richard Spencer. I'll put that in the links below. It's titled Debunking Richard Spencer, and it's just a 25-minute video looking at his own words, taking his words, not making things up about him, not fake news, but taking his own words and his quotes in an interview from him and showing how this guy and what he believes in doesn't represent freedom or libertarianism or anything that people who care about creating a more free world should be supporting. But in this latest news, I thought it was an interesting angle. This is the only reason I even bother bringing this guy up. He led a group of protesters this weekend in Charlottesville, Virginia, to protest the sale of a statue of Robert E. Lee, who, of course, is I guess a Confederate hero to some, and he fought in the Civil War, which is a piece of the United States history, right? This country divided very greatly, fighting over states' rights and over slavery, among other issues. And I'm not going to get into the Civil War and how I feel about that, but I think it's interesting because, I mean, for one, this protest is pretty crazy. There's about a couple hundred people, it looks like, chanting, yelling, "You will not replace us," holding torches. I mean, they might as well have pitchforks too. And it's pretty creative. It's nothing illegal about having a little pitchfork or a little torch. Or let me look. See, the picture shows it looks like a little torchlight, kind of like you put out the mosquito torches. So they all have torches, and they're in a big group, and it's a bunch of alt-right supporters and people who are saying they don't want the statue taken down. The Charlottesville mayor, Mike Signer, condemned the rallies in a statement saying the event involving torches at night in Lee Park was either profoundly ignorant or designed to instill fear in our minority populations in a way that harkens back to the days of the KKK. Either way, as a mayor of the city, I want everyone to know this. We reject this intimidation. We are a welcoming city, but such intolerance is not here. So Richard Spencer comes into a town that he's not from. Maybe he was invited. I don't know. Either way, he felt this was his rallying cry. And this comes after just last week in New Orleans, a statue of Jefferson Davis was removed as well, and this is the second of 4 statues that are currently being planned to be removed in the city. So I guess my question to you guys is, what do you think about this? Obviously, this protest, it does seem to be about intimidation. It's a little creepy in my eyes, but overall, the issue of removing statues, changing street names, are we erasing history? Are we doomed to repeat history because we're going to take it down? Or are these names and these symbols really something that we should remove because they represent darkness? They represent either slavery, or in some cases there's names of people that are celebrated that were responsible for horrible, atrocious acts to indigenous communities, to Native American communities, to my ancestors, and to possibly your ancestors, no matter where you come from. Should we keep those names up? Is this about freedom of speech, or is this really about erasing history? What do you think is more important? Let me know in the comments below. The next story has to do with the Trump administration. I know I said I'm not going to talk about them too much, but I think that this will matter to those of you out there, especially my friends who indulge in cannabis. Now, check out these two pieces. First, this one. And this one. A little noted document issued by President Trump has put advocates of cannabis on edge, raising questions about long-term security of programs now authorized in 29 states and the District of Columbia. In a signing statement that accompanied Trump's signature on a bill passed this month to keep the government open, the government shutdown bill, remember they talk about that? Well, maybe this was one of the true reasons for that bill. They stuck in a signing statement. It says, the president noted a handful of objections on legal grounds, including a provision that prohibits his administration from interfering with state-run medical marijuana programs. So Trump wants the federal government to be able to go in and tell the states whether or not they can and cannot give out medical cannabis. And of course, if you pay attention to Jeff Sessions and looked into him before he was put as Attorney General, you know that this guy supports surveillance. He said things about the drug war, and it looks like now he is starting to make a move in that direction. Last week, he directed federal prosecutors to get significantly tougher on drug defendants than under the Obama administration. A task force launched by Sessions is looking at changes in enforcement, particularly regarding cannabis. That is still illegal on the federal level, but that's changing locally and statewide. Federal government, once again, trying to tell you what you can and cannot put in your body. And this is coming from the Trump administration. So if you're a Trump supporter, how does that make you feel? Do you think people should have the right to ingest cannabis? Do you think this is a proper use of government? I thought Trump supposedly was about limiting government, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was listening to the wrong campaign promises. Last story for today, and I appreciate you guys tuning in once again. Subscribe to the Conscious Resistance Network. Follow me on Facebook, Derrick Broze. Or follow us on the YouTube channel. Check this out. That's right, a 20-year-old dude is going to save some of the world's oceans. There's still plenty of other plastic floating in the world's ocean, but Boyan Slat, who is the head of the Ocean Cleanup Company, which first came about in 2013, 2014. I highly recommend looking into this article that I'm sharing here and reading about the history of this company, because this kid has done some really powerful things in his young life. And he's working on a brand new project now, some actual good news. Last week he held a press conference where his team announced that they're going to be moving forth on their project to clean up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which, if you didn't know, there's giant floating patches of plastic in the world's ocean. And he has come up with a very unique way, using the currents and the waves of the ocean, working with it instead of giant fishing nets, which are often left in the sea and become known as ghost nets. He's using the currents and the waves to pull in the plastic into one central source, and then they're going to recycle that and turn it into other products to sell and to make money, to do this all over the world. And it looks very powerful. Check out these images in this video from his presentation. But of course, there are some critics of this project who say that he's aiming in the wrong direction. You can see here from Inertia, they actually call it bullshit. What is the big problem? What are they complaining about? Well, of course, some people say by just focusing on the cleanup and cleaning the oceans, but not discouraging plastic use, you're actually going to work against yourself. There are others who are saying that by focusing on the ocean rather than the problem upstream, he's wasting time, he's wasting money. And there's those who are saying that his project could be disastrous for marine life, such as plankton. Placing trash collectors in rivers might be a more efficient way of stopping the flow of plastic, with the added benefit of reducing the risk to marine life. And Boyan, for his part, he said that he wants to see it all happen, not just what they're doing, but reduction of plastic consumption and focus on cleaning upstream. He says we need to do both. We need to intercept plastic before it becomes ocean plastic, and we need to clean up what is out there. So let me know what you guys think. This is very exciting news to me. This should be front page news rather than talking about what the president's up to or what these politicians are up to, taking your money and using it for things that maybe you don't support. There's a young genius out there, and he's going to clean up the world's oceans. And I'm sure there's other people working on other great projects, because that is the power and the ingenuity of human beings. We are here to change the world, to become better, more empowered people. That's what happens when you focus on cultivating your own self, not focus on what this mainstream, deadstream culture feeds you through their music, their movies, their news programs, and their propaganda. Step out of that matrix, claim your own power, and see the world for what it can be. A beautiful, powerful place full of amazing human beings who are doing great things everywhere that we look. So let's focus on that. My name is Derrick Broze. If you want to follow me, find me on Facebook. You can also follow me on the Conscious Resistance Network. I will be here tomorrow talking some more news, and of course Friday evening for a live show broadcast through the Conscious Resistance Network. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace. Oh yeah, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free.